Hey guys, it's Miss Bailey, and today I'm recording a little video. Oops, it's not loading. Just to kind of read through a PowerPoint about Virginia Indian languages. And, previously this year in social studies, we learned about Virginia and kind of where it was in terms of the bordering states and surrounding waterways. Talked about Virginia rivers and different regions in Virginia. And that's because that's the state that we live in Virginia. And so we also are going to look at people that first settled in Virginia or who were the first people here. And so today I'm going to read through this PowerPoint about Virginia Indian languages. And then tomorrow there's going to be some questions for you guys to answer based on this reading. But it's kind of a lot to read, so I thought I would read it to you, but you can follow along because I'm sharing the screen, as I'm reading. Okay, so move this out of the way. So what are we learning today? Well, our learning target is that I can interpret, or you can interpret, which just means to understand and explain artifacts and primary and secondary sources to understand American Indians in Virginia. The information on these slides gives background information and provides artifacts and primary and secondary sources to understand American Indians in Virginia. After reading and using the information, you should be able to answer the following questions. So, we want to know who were the American Indians? How do we know about the American Indians? Where did American Indians live? And what languages did the Virginia Indians speak? So I just read these questions right here. And when we're done reading this, we should be able to answer those 4 questions. Okay, meeting the Native Americans. One of the first Europeans to travel to North America was Christopher Columbus. When Columbus arrived in North America in 1492, he thought he was in the Indies. He called the native people Indians, and the first people to live in North America to this day are often called Indians or Native Americans. The Lost Colony. In 1584, Sir Walter Raleigh of England attempted to start an English colony in Roanoke, part of the Outer Banks of North Carolina. After 3 attempts to settle the colony, the English settlers living in the colony eventually disappeared, which is why Roanoke is often called the Lost Colony. For the few years that the Roanoke colony existed, the English made maps, developed relationships with the Indians, created paintings, and observed the native culture. Arthur Barlow, an English settler, brought 2 of his Algonquian-speaking Indian friends, Manteo and Wanchese, back with him to England. Native languages. Virginia Indians spoke Algonquian, Siouan, and Iroquoian. In North America, over 800 languages were spoken by the Native Americans. Although the Native Americans had a spoken language, go back. No, go back. I can't read what that says. Let me scroll down. Nope. Okay, there we go. So, Virginia Indians spoke Algonquian, Siouan, and Iroquoian. In North America, over 800 languages were spoken by the Native Americans. Although the Native Americans had a spoken language, they had no written language, no writing. I know some of you would really like that. No writing. Jamestown settlers arrive. When the Jamestown settlers arrived to Jamestown in 1607, they quickly met the Powhatan Indians. The Powhatan Indians traded boys with the English settlers so the boys could learn each other's language and serve as interpreters. Some Englishmen, such as John Smith and William Strachey, worked with the natives to write the Algonquian words they spoke and translate them to English. John Smith. In 1612, John Smith published a map of Virginia with a description of the country, the commodities, people, government, and religion. John Smith's work included maps and a translation of 47 Algonquian words and phrases. A map of Virginia with a description of the country, the commodities, people, government, and religion. Here are some of the translations John Smith provided. So I am not gonna really attempt to read those words, but you can see that there are, go back. The words for a man, a woman, a boy, houses. Looks like houses is probably Yeehawkins. Tomahawks for axes. Takahacks for pickaxes. Then here's the words for numbers 1 through 10. Okay, William Strachey. William Strachey arrived in Virginia in 1610. He was the colony secretary and reported to England about the colony. Strachey worked closely with two Englishmen, Thomas Savage and Henry Spelman, who would learn the native language. Strachey used what he learned to publish a dictionary of the Indian language, an excerpt from the history of travel into Virginia, Britannia, which included over 400 translations. So what we're talking about is the Indians were here and they had their language, and then English settlers came from England and they had English as their language. And so trying to communicate, they really had to learn each other's language a little bit so that they could communicate. Summary. Many other people throughout history continued to study the native spoken languages. The primary and secondary sources were used to create this map of the Native American languages spoken in Virginia. This map shows the languages as well as the major tribes. Find the Cherokee, Monacan, and Powhatan tribes. What languages did each tribe speak? So what about Algonquian? So if you're looking at the map, we have a map of, Virginia. And then we have what's called a key that shows us what different colors mean. And then the title says American Indians are the first Americans. And it's circa 1600. So circa just kind of means about around the year 1600. Okay, and then we have a color code. It's kind of like that yellowish mustard color for Algonquian. And then the Siouan are kind of pinkish mauve. And then the Iroquoian are that purple or lavender. And then they have these arrows, the black line with the arrows, which is just their trade routes. Okay, so let's find, like it says, find the Cherokee. Where were the Cherokee? See Cherokee right here. What about the Monacan or Monacan? Okay, and then the Powhatan. Let's see if we can move this. Powhatan. Okay, so those are the Indian groups, the Cherokee, the Monacan, and the Powhatan. But then the languages are here. So language groups. Algonquian is here, where the Powhatan Indians were. Siouan is here, where the Monacan group was. And then Iroquoian was spoken by the Cherokee group here. All right. Let's go on. So this is what we're going to talk about next. And our target is I can interpret artifacts and primary and secondary sources to understand American Indians in Virginia. Have you reached the learning target? Can you answer these questions? Who were the American Indians? How do we know about the American Indians? Where did American Indians live? And what languages did Virginia Indians speak? All right, so that's all I wanted you to do for today is just to sort of listen to the PowerPoint, and then we will answer some questions about this tomorrow. Okay? If you want to see, click on that and see if it goes to anything interesting. Nope, it does not. Okay. All right, bye guys. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.
What are you doing?
Shh, I'm still recording. It takes a minute to shut off.
I'm gonna run up to the store real quick.